Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to Philadelphia City Council during our budget hearing process of the Committee of the Whole. Ms. Lawhead, could you please call the next panel?
Jane Golden, Executive Director of Mural Arts, and Emily Shapira, President and CEO of Philadelphia Energy Authority.
Good afternoon. I'm Jane Golden, the Executive Director of the Mural Arts Program, and I'm joined by some esteemed colleagues today. If you could say your name.
My name is Michael Voigev.
And you're with what program?
With Color Me Back.
Good afternoon. I'm Andre Cheney, and I'm an artist with Mural Arts.
Here we go.
I'm Nadia Dashell, assistant artist with Color Me Back.
How you doing? My name is Sadiq Hawk. I'm a rec crew member at Mural Arts.
Well, thank you very much for being here today. Ms. Golden, could you please state your name for the record and please begin your testimony?
Yes, my name is Jane Golden, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mural Arts Program, a job I feel very privileged and honored to have. I have remarks, but I wanted to say a few things, just personal things to City Council before I start, if that's okay with you. So it's hard to believe, but this is my last budget testimony before City Council after so many years. It has been a privilege and an honor to partner with all of you in the service of the city. I just wanted to use a small part of my time up front to thank you from the bottom of my heart. The partnership we have created is nothing short of extraordinary, and it has served as an inspiration to cities both near and far. Whatever Mural Arts has accomplished in my tenure, it was done in partnership with a really big village. But please know and never forget that an important part of that village is the city. It's mayors, of course, but without a doubt, members of City Council and their beautiful and wonderful and inspiring staff members have helped move our work forward. So on behalf of the board and this amazing staff, I want to recognize and thank each of you. We honestly could not be who we are and do the depth and breadth of our work without your counsel, your support, your wisdom, and your investment. You have truly helped demonstrate the power of art as a public good. In these challenging and polarizing times, we need this work more than ever. So I ask you to please stay close to Mural Arts. The village we have built together is strong, and I believe there is a wonderful new chapter to write with your support. And so now I would like to begin my remarks. So good afternoon, Council President Johnson and members of City Council. As I said, I'm Jane Golden, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues today, and I'm pleased to provide testimony on the fiscal year 2027 operating budget. For 4 decades, Mural Arts has partnered with artists and residents and community organizations across Philadelphia to create public art in the shared spaces of our city. Together, we have created more than 4,000 murals across every council district, artwork shaped through collaboration and grounded in local histories, experiences, and aspirations. In doing so, we've strengthened neighborhood pride. We've helped establish Philadelphia as the mural capital of the world, everybody. Can we have a round of applause? And we've created a powerful way for residents and visitors alike to encounter the city through the voices and vision of its communities. But the murals are only the most visible part of what we do. What people see on the wall is just the surface of something much deeper. Behind every mural are months and months of listening, of conversation, of trust building, We begin by asking who lives here, what stories are held here, what should be remembered, what deserves to be seen. And then we work together, artists, neighbors, community groups, businesses, city agencies, city council, to bring those voices into the public space of the city. Yay! For us, this has always been about making sure that anyone in any neighborhood can walk out their front door and see something that reflects them. This is what the citizens of Philadelphia truly deserve, and it reminds people that they belong here. The collaborative process is at the heart of everything we do and how we advance Mayor Parker's vision, but also your vision and priorities for Philadelphia. Public safety, education, economic opportunity, education, cleaner, greener neighborhoods, all of it. So I want to start with public safety. We have long believed that safety begins with providing young adults and young people with opportunities, with dignity, with respect, with a chance to be seen and heard. We want to provide them with opportunities so they can start to believe in themselves and what they can become. Through the Guild, our Restorative Justice Workforce Program. Can we have a round of applause for restorative justice? I get so excited. I know this and I talk about it, but it's like I'm always excited. It's like odd. I wake up and just am excited. Mural Arts provides people returning from prison and who've been impacted by the criminal justice system with structured work, coaching, and support as they rebuild their lives. Through the Rec Crew, let's hear it. That work continues in neighborhood recreation centers, and we want to thank the Park and Rec Commissioner, Susan Slauson. We're working in public spaces where participants work alongside artists to create places that feel cared for, that feel welcoming, and full of possibility. Each year, these programs serve at least 70 returning citizens, and roughly 80% move on to jobs, training, or education. Yay! With full FY27 support, we can grow this work, deepen employment partnerships, and pilot scholarships to help participants broaden their choices and opportunities. Public safety also depends on whether residents have places where they can participate, contribute, and shape community life together. In Tacony, Mural Arts created the Tacony Lab. As a neighborhood cultural space. See, that's the thing with artists. They see things other people don't. Like some people might say, oh, that's an empty business. But we're like, no, we see possibility. And that is so exciting. So the Tacony Lab, it's a neighborhood cultural space where artists and hundreds of residents come together through workshops, exhibitions, and shared programming that builds civic participation, local pride, and a stronger sense of belonging and meaning. Mayor Parker's budget proposal this year talked a lot about economic opportunity, and this is very relevant and exciting to us. Every year, Mural Arts employs at least 250 artists. Let's have a round of applause for that. Attracting and sustaining Philadelphia's creative workforce and investing in the people whose imagination helps shape this city. And I want to thank our Chief Cultural Officer, Val Gay, who is here. And through Color Me Back, the city's first program of its kind, the same-day work program launched in 2019, it has become a model for many successful programs throughout Philadelphia. We offer same-day work and pay, but we're working with people facing housing instability and behavioral health challenges. It's an amazing, inspiring program, and I invite all of you to come visit us. We're underneath the Clothespin. We have a hub there, and in Kensington at K&A. And in particular, I know that we have a member from CEO is here, and I want to thank them for their invaluable support. Operating from Suburban Station in Kensington, the program engages roughly 450 residents each year for approximately 3,200 shifts and distributes more than $250,000 in wages. That's great. But what makes this work so powerful is that it offers, and Councilmember Lozada, you have often cited this, that it offers more than a paycheck. For hundreds of people each year, Color Me Back provides a place of welcome, consistency, and human connection. So many people are living in isolation, and it seems like something, so obvious, but it doesn't happen all the time. Each shift brings together dignity, creativity, and access to support, meeting people where they are and helping them move forward in really concrete and wonderful ways. We also very much believe in young people, and we have, since we started in 1998, we have been really dedicated to art education. Art Ed! Each year, Mural Arts serves more than 2,600 young people through free arts education and career-connected learning rooted in public projects. Yay! These are young people whose creativity might otherwise have little room to grow in school or after school, and our work helps open that door. Across the city, we see students develop skills around collaboration, critical thinking, and form real relationships with practicing artists and employers. The work gives students a voice and a choice. Inevitably, they begin to see themselves differently, not just as students, but as makers, contributors, and future leaders of our city. This year, 107 teens are participating in career-connected learning, and 13 paid youth interns are working alongside artists and project managers on neighborhood projects, gaining experience, confidence, and a stronger sense of what is possible for their own futures. And moving on to a topic we love, cleaner, greener, and more beautiful neighborhoods. This is about the daily experience of living in Philadelphia. What does it feel like to walk down a block that is cared for, to see beauty where there once was neglect, and to know that your neighborhood matters? Each year, Mural Arts completes between 80 and 100 public art projects, 80 and 100. And when people call us, they think I am speaking for the entire state, not a city. So yay, Philly. We engage roughly 20,000 residents in improving their neighborhoods. We perform more than 20 mural restorations, and we carry out 100 graffiti remediations. And now, through the Gateways to Philadelphia Highway Beautification Initiative, we are helping to reshape some of the city's most visible entrances with our great partners at Clean and Green. In fact, if you go on the highway and you go by the CSX wall, you will not believe it. We are shutting down the train, and artists are painting in the middle of the night between 2 and 5 in the morning. And people said it could not be done. Just tell us it can't be done, and we will do it. I want to thank Mayor Parker for her leadership in creating this ambitious effort and for including Mural Arts in this important work. And I want to thank my colleague, Director Williams, who I've known for a long time and believes in art. And 2026 is a landmark year, and we are featuring 108 new projects. And here are just some of the exciting examples. We're doing a tribute to Philly music legends. We are honoring the Sun Ra Orchestra, Questlove, Jesse Bermudez, Celia Cruz. We're doing a tribute to Black dance, celebrating Sidney King and Joe Myers Brown and others. We are celebrating Philadelphia's extraordinary LGBTQ heroes, including Gloria Cesares and Councilmember Landell, Councilmember Squilla. I don't know where you are, but there you are. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this mural to life, and it is so beautiful. The design is just absolutely stunning. And then we are also working with the Taccone Lab and doing Northeast 250. It's Threads of History, and there will be all these artist-led residencies, events, and community flag making. Yay. In FY27, additional investment would allow us to support up to 10 more mural projects requested by community groups, residents, and council members. And it would help us to begin addressing a very large restoration backlog that we have, that we really want to work on because we want our collection to always sing. In fact, just as a special thing today, we unveiled a design in your district. Oh, and Councilmember Jones, you've both been involved in this, and it is a tribute to the Negro League and the Philadelphia Stars, and we are going to show you that design right now because we think it's good to have an interactive session. So, is everybody ready? Okay, here it is. It's at 40th and Parkside. Let's go out here. Can we go out here? Are we allowed? Thank you. So everybody, we had a mural there, and the mural went away, and what's really nice is that the developer who took the mural away is building a wall in the Memorial Park, so the mural is coming back to life. Yay! Whenever murals go away, they should come back to life. Okay, I digress, but now we're on to this. So anyway, this is a sad part. Okay, as I prepare to step down after 4 decades of service, I do so with extraordinary gratitude and unwavering confidence in Mural Art's future. The work is upheld by Mural Arts staff, and I just want to say, could people who work at Mural Arts raise their hands? These are extraordinary people who have such dedication. I feel so lucky to work with them. Amazing artists and community partners and public leaders like you who believe in the power of art to help our city thrive. It has been truly the honor of a lifetime to steward this work in service of making Philadelphia a safer, cleaner, greener city, blanketing neighborhoods all over with art that honors people and stories that make our city strong. I know that shared commitment will carry Mural Arts forward. We are so grateful to all of you, to Mayor Parker and her administration, and for the leadership of the Chief Cultural Officer, Val Gay, and the entire team at Creative Philadelphia. And I want to end with, we had our second mural book. We asked Sonia Sanchez to write a foreword, and instead what she did was she wrote a haiku, and I wanted to read part of it to you. She says, Philadelphia roots lighting these walls with fireflies, flowers stretched in prayer on a cornerstone wall, brown-skinned children dancing with butterflies, these children's faces light up the stars, Philadelphia painted with blue hallelujahs, winter a warrior's face. I hear people singing. In an open alley, a galaxy of dreams. Common ground is we, forever tasting the earth. Hands in the green light, always saluting peace. Even in the rain, these murals pause with rainbows. Thank you so much. And now my wonderful colleagues here are going to talk briefly about the work and the impact on their lives.
Yeah, they have to be very brief though, because we still have another person as well would like to also give their testimony, Philadelphia Energy Authority. So please move forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Voikov. I've been with Color Me Back for 2 years. I was connected to the program because of a friend was working on a project in a lot in Kensington called Stop the Risk. Matt Tomesco, who's a program manager and artist with Color Me Back, was doing a mural project there that included putting up fence decorations and making planners. I started working there for a few months, and then I went to rehab. When I got out of rehab in June, I went to live at Riverview Wellness. While I was at Riverview, I saw Matt again because he was doing a mural with his floral designs there. He told me to come to work with him again at Color Me Back. And because I'm able to leave during the day at Riverview, I've been working as an assistant artist in Color Me Back since then. Mural Arts also paid me to do a workshop series at Riverview. I created a bracelet class that helped me focus on teaching and setting up a routine. The other people at Riverview constantly stop to talk to me about the bracelets in the class. I've always loved art, but I never had training in it until I came to work for Color Me Back. The program has given me the ability to aid in my recovery in a positive way that helps me stay clean. It gives me something to focus on. The art helps me to meditate and puts me at ease. I also love the working environment. Matt is an awesome and great boss. He's very attentive and always listens to people if I have a problem. I can go to him and talk to him about it. Because of Color Me Back, I've been able to save up money for when I leave Riverview to have my own place. Thank you.
Don't go nowhere.
Good afternoon, I'm Nadia Dashell. I came across Color Me Back when I was walking by the studio on Suburban Station. I was working, but it was just a job. It wasn't exciting and not a lot of money. I have always loved doing artwork on my own, and so I decided to sign up. I've been with the program for 2 years, and I worked my way up to becoming an assistant artist. I've been involved with many projects, including a mural at Esperanza Wellness Center, a mural at Mother of Mercy House, 3 murals at 5th and Lehigh, and a mural with Ukrainian artists that's currently installed on the 3rd floor of City Hall. I'm one of the artists who's been doing community engagement for the Large Heart of Kensington Creates project that we're doing on the SEPTA L line in Kensington. And I will be an assistant on 3 murals we're installing in Frankfurt this summer. I've also been through the muralist training program that's offered by Mural Arts. The biggest change I've seen in myself with Color Me Back is that I've gotten out of my comfort zone. I've worked on projects in all different kinds of conditions, and I've built a certain resilience. I've been able to adapt to new environments and new people. I've also been able to share my knowledge and take in knowledge from other people around me. My plan was always to do art on the side, and I never thought I could make it my career. Now I'm an assistant artist actively working on murals throughout the city. The people in the program are also like a family to me now, and I don't think I would have met most of them if I wasn't in this program. Thank you.
My experience with Mural Arts leads me to think, even now, this isn't just an audience, it's a community of artists, mentors, and people who believe in second chances. Being here today matters because this program didn't just give me a place to create, it gave me a place to grow. The art showed me that this isn't just painting on walls, it's progress, it's storytelling, it's emotion, and it's healing. I learned that creativity, no matter what forms it takes, can be a path to growth and new beginnings. Mural Arts reminded me that we are more than our mistakes, that real change doesn't come from judgment, it comes from support. Mural Arts also didn't teach me about just artistic skills. It taught me about accountability, it taught me about reflection, and it taught me a lot about my community. I learned that restorative justice isn't just about punishment, it's about rebuilding. It's about rebuilding confidence, rebuilding trust, and rebuilding ourselves. I see the importance, I see the value in all my peers here. We support each other, and we all learn from each other as well. I just want to give a special shout out to everybody that's here supporting everyone.
Excuse me, real quick.
Yes.
Young man, could you just state your name for the record, for the stenographer, please?
Sadiq Hawk.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, young man.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that my desire and passion to be an artist is what brought me back home, but mural arts is what kept me home. And what I mean by that is that ever since I was a kid, when my imagination was at its most wildest, I always had aspirations and dreams of being an architect, a graphic designer, illustrator. And unfortunately, growing up, I felt that in the school systems, because art was taken out, it wasn't a feasible career choice. And so what wound up happening is when I had the choice to go to college, I left. And I felt like a stranger in Moscow when I was in a different state because it didn't have what Philadelphia has to offer. And I also feel like if you want to make it anywhere, you got to make it at home first. So I started doing my research on what Philadelphia had to offer, and I found mural arts. And when I found mural arts, I came back home and I began to engage with mural arts. And I didn't just get access to projects. I got access to a community ecosystem, a place where I could define and also refine my artistic voice and abilities. And I have to say that since then, I'm doing pretty good. I can't lie. Now, with that said, what I'm ultimately saying is that if we choose not to invest in mural arts, what we're ultimately saying is that the people who put their life and their voice on the line and continue to do their own form of advocacy and depict what's going on in our city and push our city forward by way of art, ultimately it'll be a disaster, because my last point, I'll speed it up, is that the first thing that you learn in art history is that, about the painting in the caves of Lascaux, which is some of the earliest depictions of art in art history. I feel like Philadelphia is the new caves of Lascaux, not because we're just a mural capital, but because we're truly telling stories that push everything forward. So I feel like we have to invest and invest to calculate for like inflation and things like that, to ensure that that young kid that's about to make the decision on whether or not they can stay here and not leave, they'll choose to stay because they know that the city also backs initiatives like mural arts, which is extremely important. And it's just the right thing to do. So thank you. That's my testimony. I appreciate you,
Just state your name. Just state your name for the record.
I'm sorry. My name is Andre Cheney.
Could we give all of our young people that have testified, Give him a real big round of applause. It is not easy to come up to that podium and provide testimony in public with all of these strangers sitting here listening to you, and so it takes us a bit of courage to be at that table, so thank you. And to the gentleman in the back who's in recovery, who talked about how art is therapy. Yes, art is therapy. Art is healing. Continue to keep doing a great job. I just want you to know that as well. I'm going to ask for Emily Shapiro to give her testimony, and then we'll allow questions from members of council to address the Mural Arts Program as well as Philadelphia Energy Authority at the same time.
Should I stay up here or go?
You can stay up there, but Emily Shapiro is going to join you on the side.
Okay, great.
All right.
Emily, just state your name for the record and please begin.
Sure. Good afternoon, Council President Johnson, members of council. I'm Emily Shapiro, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Energy Authority, or PEA. I am so proud and honored to be here today in council chambers with Mural Arts Program, who has been such an inspiration to us over the years. So glad to share this table today. I'm going to share a shortened version of the testimony I submitted in writing, and happy to have any questions today. PEA, as you know, is an independent municipal authority advancing projects that deliver on the city's most urgent priorities: lower bills, stronger infrastructure, safer neighborhoods, and quality jobs. In Philadelphia, clean energy is not just one thing, it's everything. Since 2016, under the banner of the 10-year Philadelphia Energy Campaign, PEA has driven $1.3 billion in investment, creating nearly 11,000 jobs, exceeding the ambitious goal we initially set out to reach. We recently conducted a full economic analysis to assess the complete impact of our work over the last decade and the return on the city's investment in PEA, and I'm really excited to share this with you today. This is the first time we're releasing these numbers. First, the benefit in municipal tax dollars. The city's invested $14.7 million in PEA's annual budget since 2016. In that same period, our work generated over $25.3 million in city taxes. So I'll repeat that. The $14.7 million that you've invested in PEA over the last 10 years produced $25.3 million in combined personal income, sales, and business taxes to fund city government. Thank you. Second, for every $1 of city investment in PEA, we've spurred $90 of local investment in clean energy projects and programs, so a 90x return. The $1.3 billion driven by PEA has also generated over $2 billion in total economic output for Philadelphia and $2.4 billion across Pennsylvania. So what has this investment meant to actual Philadelphians? I'll give you a few examples. So 10 years, $1.3 billion of investment and 11,000 jobs represent the 427 households served by Built to Last so far who have had their generational wealth preserved, utility bills slashed, and health improved through whole home repairs. It represents the nearly 4,400 households, over half of whom are low and moderate income, who are generating clean, long-term, affordable electricity on their roofs through Solarize Greater Philadelphia. It represents the nearly 130,000 brand-new, long-lasting, and highly efficient LED streetlights that save money and make every corner of the city safer at night. It represents the 118 Philadelphians that graduated from our Green Retrofit Immersive Training, or GRIT program, and the 224 individuals we connected to clean energy jobs with employers like PECO, PGW, and Solar States through our Good Jobs Challenge grant with Philadelphia Works and others. It represents the 14,503 students that attend the 23 public schools that have been retrofitted using the Guaranteed Energy Savings Act to be more comfortable, healthier learning environments. And it represents the 9 small and medium-sized local plumbing companies hired by the Water and Sewer Service Line Protection Program who have grown their businesses to serve critical residential infrastructure for the nearly 90,000 Philadelphia households enrolled in the program citywide. That program has saved consumers $90 million in repairs, and over 70% of all claims were served by minority-owned firms. We're incredibly proud of these achievements and so many more. PEA's work in 26 and 27 supports the priorities of the Parker administration to make Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest city with access to economic opportunity for all, and also meets the priorities of City Council to use the tax dollars of hardworking Philadelphians in the most thoughtful, impactful ways to the benefit of all. We learned that we don't need energy to be at the top of the priority list. We fit easily into the day-to-day and strategic priorities of both branches of government. As we focus on the next decade of work for PEA, we plan to scale up, grow this work to be bigger, better, and more. For FY27, PEA is requesting a total budget allocation of $4 million. Mayor Parker's budget proposes $1.3 million for PEA. We've demonstrated our ability to turn investment in PEA into economic benefit for the city and all Philadelphians, and we ask for your support to scale and accelerate our work. I want to just take 1 second to explain why city funding is so important for us. It's a critical piece of the puzzle. PEA has shown proof of concept through nationally recognized programs like Built to Last and Solarize, and we use the success of those programs to attract new funding to Philadelphia. We rely on much more than just city funding. Our total FY27 budget from all sources is more than $14 million. But city funding is what allows us to develop the next iteration of big projects and effective programs and stabilize our staffing infrastructure to scale up programs that work. It helps us scale up in anticipation of additional funding, just as it's doing to leverage funding from the Mayor's Home Initiative and pitch to bigger funders. It helps us speed up our pipeline of city energy and capital projects as well. City funding also helps us provide technical support to elected officials, regulators, and others to navigate the complex and systemic energy issues we're facing, especially in an environment where data center growth and geopolitics are causing an unsustainable increase in energy costs for every Philadelphian and for even city government as well. PEA needs the stability to do what it's designed to do as an authority, work across departments and capital cycles to improve energy infrastructure and stabilize our costs. We will continue to return every dollar invested and more. If we're funded at the proposed $1.3 million amount, we will be challenged to maintain our staff, much less to strategically expand our capacity to meet the moment. To conclude, this body has a million hard decisions to make when it comes to the budget, and this should not be one of them. We've done what we said we would do, and there is more work to be done. We've taken the investment made in us and grown the pie exponentially. We've been frugal, grown responsibly, established our own program funding, and have aggressively sought philanthropic and other dollars to ensure that we can deliver for the people of Philadelphia. Since I joined PEA's staff 10 years ago now, we've worked hard to build a reputation of being an effective strategic organization that delivers. I hope our strong track record of success and the overwhelming support of partners, stakeholders, and community members lends credibility to our request, and I hope we can count on your support this year. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. Before I turn over to my members, I just want to say it is truly an honor, and also it's bittersweet moment because I've had the opportunity to work with Ms. Jane Golden over the last 20 plus years in some capacity. I first met Jane Golden when I was part of a program called City Year, and they had a mural arts team. And I remember you had some people that wanted to be a part of the mural arts team and other people that wanted to be a part of other teams where you saw an immediate impact from the work that you would do. We had the Habitat for Humanity team where you would go and build houses. We had another team where teams were in schools working with children. But when you're doing a mural, that's a process within itself. And I remember talking to the core members at that time. I was a project manager, really encouraging them to be a part of mural arts team because murals can transform the lives of individuals, right? Especially a lot of people that come from black and brown neighborhoods that are looking for hope. And you may say, well, what do you mean? There's some murals in parts of the cities where you may see an image of an individual that you may not normally see, rather that's a lawyer, rather that's a doctor. In my neighborhood of Point Breeze, I remember we had a mural of an astronaut on the corner of 18th and Reed as a part of a mural that was inside of a neighborhood garden, right? Or in Southwest Philadelphia, off of 53rd and Greenway, there's a major mural of the Tuskegee Airmen, right? Which also will inspire young people to dream beyond their local neighborhood. And that's the works that mural arts have been doing throughout the city of Philadelphia, but also Jane Golden with her leadership, her passion, and her infectious attitude, right? And the energy of what she brings to this position really is gonna make it harder for the next person who has to fill her shoes. And so it's truly an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to work with you. And we're gonna keep you around as long as we can. We know you're not gonna go too far, but you're a icon, and I'd like to say an actual institution to the city of Philadelphia because you have transformed murals and taken our city to the next level. And beyond murals, you also got involved in social justice by helping individuals who deserve a second chance. And so I'm going to ask for all my colleagues and everyone, could we stand up and give a round of applause, please?
Thank you. I said I wouldn't cry, but thank you so
We
much, Council
appreciate you,
President.
Jane. We appreciate all your hard work and all your dedication. I didn't even talk about the work you do up at Phoenix Prison. Most people may or may not know, helping prisoners find a sense of hope. Or when you took me to the Barnes Foundation, where normally the Barnes is for the she folks, right? And Jane thought it not robbery to make sure we open it up for individuals who deserve a second chance. We're trying to get their lives together. And could you imagine somebody that's incarcerated saying, my artwork is in the Barnes Museum? And so that's the type of work that you do in terms of your leadership. And so I'm going to take this moment to begin having my members acknowledge you and ask questions of the Mural Arts Program. I'm starting off with Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke and then Councilman Jamie Gautier.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and echo all the sentiments that you shared as it relates to the great impact of Jane Golden and all that has been done. Jumping right into it, I was excited to hear about the $790,000 that are being allocated to mural arts as a part of the mayor's Gateway project to beautify the highways, Philadelphia's highways, prior to this summer. The highways. At the same time, it struck me, upon considering the highways being beautified, that SEPTA could equally use that same kind of facelift along their transit stops and along those tracks, especially considering how many international tourists will be relying on public transit instead of cars. So obviously that's smart for 26, but we are a world-class city, and this will not be the only year, it hasn't been the first, and it certainly won't be the last, that we welcome the world into our city gates. So if this body were to allocate a similar amount for beautification of SEPTA's infrastructure, would Mural Arts be prepared to use that funding? And if so, how far could that money go? How many murals could we create? How many of the Color Me Back same-day work and pay opportunities could there possibly be, et cetera, so on and so forth?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Councilmember. So I want to say that Color Me Back really got its start partnering with SEPTA, and the early work was in the concourse right under the clothespin, and it struck us at the time that that was really important because some of the people that we were working with actually were in the concourse and saw us there and signed up for Color Me Back, and that sort of was transformational. But then it's also like, how do you change individuals but also impact the built environment of our city? And one mirrors the other. And so we did, during COVID, we worked and did these columns that are just so beautiful. And then, it's right underneath the clothespin, there are a couple new murals. And we're working with SEPTA in other places, but it would be a dream to be able to mobilize the talents and the energy and the passion and dedication of Color Me Back to transform stations along the L. I mean, it's like, for us, that is like a dream scenario. And I just want to turn it over to my colleague Nadia Malik, who runs our extraordinary Porch Light program. Nadia Malik, would you come up?
Nadia Malik, I'm the director of the Porch Light Department, which is our partnership with Department of Behavioral Health. And Color Me Back is under Porch Light.
Could you say your name for the record, please?
Nadia Malik.
Thank you.
And thank you for the question. So right now, we're actually going through the approval process with SEPTA in Kensington. We are doing a project with Councilwoman Lozada's office, doing what were called gussets. If you don't know, gussets are the little triangles that are on the L line. If you look at the L line, the poles, there's like a little corner of the poles. We are doing 400 of those with the residents of Kensington. SEPTA is going through its approval process to allow us to install 400 of those pieces made directly by Kensington residents, all up and down between Tioga and Lehigh. So all the little, not all the little stops, but the stops that don't have, the little gussets that don't have any electricity issues, we're gonna have them up and down the L. We figured if that goes through the approval process, people are going to ask for those in other parts of the city. So I think those are pretty economically easy to do. And it is so community engaged because, again, people are directly painting those. It's a small piece, so people can directly do those. But as Jane was mentioning too, we have been able to mobilize in the stations throughout the city. So we have obviously worked in Suburban Station. We are asking for permission in Kensington right now for the Allegheny Station and for Tioga for the walls that are at those stops. So yeah, it would be amazing. And like Jane mentioned, the folks in Call Me Back, they call the Suburban Stations space their home, right? They live there, they slept there. The other stops, the SEPTA stations, are home to people. So if we can be an asset of recruiting those folks to kind of beautify the spaces that they called home and hopefully find new homes for them, then I think it would be an amazing asset. But also, again, engaging directly with communities so they can see their own work along the L, I think would just be an amazing, amazing project.
I agree. Heard, duly noted. Let me shift hard to PEA, if you don't mind. Can you give us an update, and good afternoon to you. Thank you for being here as well. Can you give us an update on how PEA is deploying home funding in the Built to Last program? I'm sure I'm not the only member of this body who is very interested in the continual support of getting more of those homes off the wait list. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for that question, Councilman. Funds just started flowing, so we are just beginning to layer home funding into our projects that are ongoing. We've committed to a minimum of 267 new homes that will be taken off our wait list. Our current wait list is 4,767 homes. It continues to grow. There is a never-ending need for funding for this, so we are looking everywhere and reaching out to all sorts of new funders. But we are moving forward with the home funding now. We're excited that that's moving. It really highlights the importance of this operating budget that we're asking for. We need to be able to build the staffing and the sort of pre-work that it takes to deploy those home funds quickly. We got $8.25 million thanks to the support of this body in the first year for home funding. So we have to deploy quickly and make sure that we scale the program up in the ways it needs to. That's going to require full staff members, even though home won't pay for full staff members. So that's part of the reason why fully funding the operating budget request is so critical. Secondly, we expect that we'll be able to do more than those 267 homes with it, pending other grants and other federal funding and other types of funding that our partners have. So we'll update you on those numbers as soon as we have them. We've currently completed 427 homes. We have 270 more that are in construction right now with other funding that's not home funding. And then we'll add this additional 267. So we'll be at a little over 900 homes with this home funding.
One more.
Briefly, member.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir. I see that you all are running another cohort of green construction training.
That's right.
Can you tell us how PA is helping to train and connect Philadelphians with good jobs and clean energy? I think it's important to get that on the record, given the climate around an attitude towards green energy these days.
Absolutely. A lot has changed at the federal government in the last couple of years. And so that has impacted the clean energy industries. However, the technology continues to move. There are still some tax credits available. I'm sure you all are hearing in your districts the increasing demand to site data centers and the needs of PECO and others to make sure that we have actually enough power to power the needs coming up. We're seeing these huge investments at the port and other places, and all of that needs power. And so that really has kept the demand high in Philadelphia. We are perfectly located and a strategic market for almost all of these industries. So we continue to do our own training a little bit through the Energy Coordinating Agency, through our GRIP program. We've graduated almost 120 people from that program. We're also closing up the 3-year Good Jobs Challenge grant with PhilaWorks, where we placed, I think, almost 230 people into clean energy jobs. And we continue to fund and partner with dozens of other organizations across the region and in Philadelphia who are doing all different kinds of training, whether it's the construction work that's needed to do real energy efficiency work, or whether it's things like solar, battery installation, manufacturing, electric vehicle charging infrastructure installation. So we've got sort of a full gamut. We're also restarting our CTE program at the school district, hopefully this fall. And they're just hiring a teacher right now. So we'll be excited to continue that training. And, I think I'll just say this really quickly. We hear from the industry all the time that there's not enough labor. There's a labor shortage in construction and clean energy. And at the same time, we have an unemployment rate among young black men in Philadelphia that is 2 to 3 times the citywide average almost all the time, regardless of the economy. And so if we can be connecting the dots here, that saves everyone. That helps the industry with the problem that they're designing, and you've got eager young people that want to do this work. So that's what we've been working to do, and we've seen.
It's a great ending.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a great end of that question. Awesome. Chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gauthier, then Councilmember Mike Driscoll.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon to both of you. My questions are for PEA, but I wanted to start by saying, Jane, you are one of the most powerful, impressive advocates I've ever had the opportunity to watch and work alongside. And I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for our communities and our city at large. And you have made us endlessly proud. In fact, myself, Minority Leader Kendra Brooks, and my Minority Whip, Nicholas O'Rourke, we were just in Seattle for a housing conference. And although there are some things to envy in Seattle, like their investment in their public transit system, murals are not a thing that we were envying. In fact, we saw their murals and we were kind of like, our murals are so much better. And so, You make us proud, and we have the ability to go other places and talk about and know what a fantastic job Mural Arts does here and what a gift you've been to our neighborhoods and our city. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. I really agree.
My questions are actually for PEA. Each year during budget season, and today is no exception to that, we hear about PEA's effectiveness, your competence. We hear about how much revenue you bring to the city. We hear about the multiplier effect when we give you money, and how much money you're able to multiply to bring to your programs. We hear about amazing projects like the Philly Street Light Improvement Project, buying solar farms for the city, built to last, job creation, all of it, right? And we know how much funding PEA needs to achieve this goal, or these goals rather. But every single year, the budget that the administration presents to us cuts PEA's funding back to a baseline of about $1.5 million and harming the agency's ability to function effectively or plan long-term. And so this is actually a question for Sabrina Maynard and Rob DeBoe, but I'll just get it on record. I want to know what the logic is behind the administration's decision each year to try and cut PEA's budget in the budget proposal. And I also want to know how this improves PEA's operations, how it sets the agency up for success, and how it adds to the administration's goals to achieve 30,000 housing units and to be the cleanest, greenest city in the country. So I'll just put that on record and hope that we hear back. And then for you, Emily, I wanted to hear more specifically, how does this dance that we do every single year where council is essentially asked to cut your budget, how does that harm your ability to carry out and grow key programs? I know you've talked about that a little bit, but I wanted you to expound.
Thank you so much for that question. It causes a delay, essentially. So every year, we kind of wait through the first half of the year to conserve as much as we can, kind of take things a little bit slow, see where we end up, see what we can ask for, and where the mayor's going to land. We do participate in the administration's budget process, but that hasn't changed anything. We're not part of the 5-year plan, or we are part of the 5-year plan at $1.3 million. We're not able to be considered for additional funds at any point in that process. So it certainly slows things down, and I'll just give one example. We're working on a project right now with the Water Department and PGW. If you ever drive up 95 and you see the flame that's kind of coming up from the side of the road, that's the Water Department flaring biogas. So it's the byproduct that comes out of the sewage treatment process. That can be used in the plant for energy and sort of offset what they have to take from PGW. PGW could also be using that as a clean source of fuel to continue to make Philadelphia a reliable place for natural gas, and we're just wasting it. And that's bad for the environment, bad for everybody, bad for the Water Department. We've been working on this project for years, and it's kind of been slow and steady because we haven't had the resources to be able to staff it fully. And these are the kinds of things that happen when we're sort of funded at the minimum amount from the administration.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for doing hard and good work, even in an environment that's not optimal. You are an agency that carries more than your weight, right? You are multiplying benefit throughout the neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia, and I just hope that this is something that we can stop doing every year. Fighting to get you a budget that allows you to do your proven and impactful work. And so hopefully council will be able to get you the dollars you need, but I hope next year that we're looking at a different budget proposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Councilman Mike Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, ladies. The council has been not everybody in your chairs the last couple of weeks has been as warmly welcomed as you two, so it's and much richly deserved. Emily, I just want to point out, just as Councilwoman Gautier says, we got to figure out you getting in the budget, just like we got to get Tacony Lab in the budget. The return on investment is there, it's proven. So let's, in our negotiations, Council President, I think we need to make that clear to the administration that, it's well worth the investment, Emily, so thank you for what you do. And Jane, I'm excited that all the visitors that are going to come from around the world are going to see the beautiful work of your team in the next couple months. And I'm sure they're going to be thrilled at the work product that you've produced. And thank you for that. And thank you for all you've done. I want to get back to that Tacony Lab. For me, it's a wonderful thing for that neighborhood and for the children in that neighborhood. But from your perspective, what do you think the impact of the Tacony Lab is?
I think we share a lot in common, because our budget is it's proposed at 3.7, and last year, because of council, it went up to 5.2, and we've been working with that number. And so if we were to go back to 3.7, we lose things. We lose things, staff, programs, invaluable programs, and like the Tacony Lab. And what I think about the Tacony Lab is it's this relatively small investment for something that has become a beacon. I mean, honestly, if I had a magic wand, or if I were a funder, I only wish, we would have Tacony Labs in every council district of the city, because the places like Tacony are miles from any anchor arts institution. I mean, it's great that we're in a city with world-class museums. That's great, but not everybody goes there. So how do we bring art to people? And so Tacony Lab is like the quintessential multitasker. Programs for seniors, for kids, free programming. It's a maker space. It's got residency programs. It's like a beacon. And I can't even imagine, if you were to tell people in Tacony that the Tacony Lab was going away, I think they would find it unfathomable. And so I feel like, it is the wisest of investments, because, Emily, like what you're saying, it is not a lot of money for a huge impact. Thousands of people are coming through those doors. And why shouldn't that happen in a city like Philadelphia, the birthplace of democracy? Someone once said that mural arts was like the visualization of democracy, because people actually have a say over what is in their neighborhood. And I applauded them for that statement. And we need to stand on that and believe in it and take it to the bank. And Tacony Lab is a wonderful example of it, and I cannot thank you enough for your support.
But we're going to keep fighting for it. Kudos to you, Barb Bauer, and your entire team. Well done.
I visited the Tacony Lab too, so Councilman Driscoll is doing a great job. I know it's something near and dear to his heart, so great program. Chairman is Councilman Ketty Lozada, then Councilman Rulandau.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you both for the work that you do. I've been fortunate to be able to work very closely with Mural
Can you speak in the
Arts.
microphone a little bit more?
Okay, I'm sorry. I've been fortunate to be able to work with Jane and Mural Arts on transforming different parts of the neighborhood. And one thing I think is clear is that we can't agree on a lot of things sometimes in the neighborhood, right? But when we talk about art, when we talk about beautification, when we talk about partnering with stakeholders like Mural Arts, everyone is always on board and everyone says yes. And that speaks volumes about not just your leadership, Jane, but also about the leadership and the artists that are involved in Mural Arts. And so thank you so much to all of you for your willingness to work in the 7th Council District, particularly through the Heart of Kensington Creates initiative that is going to bring, I think, to life an entire corridor that for a really long time has had challenges. And I'm really excited to see that come to life. Jane, can you talk a little bit about the Heart of Kensington Creates? What is the work? Who was involved? How how was the engagement process working directly with multiple neighborhoods within that Kensington corridor, and what do you believe the impact will be once it's complete?
Well, first, I want to start with huge gratitude to you for believing in us and believing in the power of public art. I remember the day you talked to me about it, and I almost fainted because I was so excited, and just my gratitude knows no bounds. So I just want to start with that. And it has been just a thrill, and I'm going to tag team with Nadia. Maybe you want to come back up, and we can do it. We can be a little team here. So that we've been able to bring. We're partnering with Impact Services, what a great organization, and we are bringing lots of residents together. And what was so interesting, council member, is I remember the first meeting, you were there, and you could see that it was a big group of people that don't necessarily agree on things, just what you said, but everyone could agree about public art and how much they wanted it. And that's why this Gusset project along the L, everybody loved it. Like, we could work with homebound people, we can work in hospitals, we can work with children, we could work in schools. Like, everybody can design a little part of it. And then there are going to be 12 major murals. And we are also able to re-grant to small galleries and work with a lot of local artists. So really, it's like a platform for true expression to flourish. It's phenomenal. It is a phenomenal project. And we're going to have a big arts festival and tours. I just get so excited I could leap out of this chair. Nadia, what would you like to add?
Nadia Malik. As Jane mentioned, we're doing 12 murals, and then with the Esperanza Health Center, we are starting this Thursday, tomorrow. We're doing monthly engagement so that anyone who wants to work with the artist, they can come in and work. But Matt Tomeshko, who is the artist on the Gusset projects, our goal was to have 400 individual little triangles made directly from the community. We're at about 350 at this point. So you can tell we've done a lot of engagement throughout the community. As Jane mentioned, Impact is an amazing partner. Matt spent a week at Memphis Street Academy, so it's a bunch of kids there that made their little paintings that are going to go up and down the L. And then the 12 muralists, I believe Ricky is the project manager on this, and I think he can give us that information, but I believe at least half of the artists that we picked are from more than half are from Philadelphia and have connections to Kensington. So I know two of the artists have studios in Kensington, but the main goal of this project is all of those artists will be listening directly to the community, and we purposely picked 12 spaces that are up and down Kensington Avenue, so that, as you mentioned, the little neighborhoods are make up the larger neighborhood. They all have their own say, they all have their own idea of the neighborhood, so each part of the neighborhood can have a different mural that is their say. So we'll be rolling out that engagement next week. We'll be giving people a calendar of here's how you can meet the artists. And the artists are very clear that this is very community focused, right? This is not a project where you can't not hear from the community. We obviously want the artists to express themselves. They are amazing, beautiful artists. They have their creativity, but we want to hear from the community and then put that out there publicly.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And also, we'll have tours moving forward too. We'll just be, every year there'll be tours going to this part of the city.
Okay, thank you. Can you share the Affirmations Avenue project? What do you believe the impact will be on not just the neighbors that are there, but on folks that are traveling through the neighborhood? What would the Affirmations Avenue project say to them?
Well, I think that Affirmation Avenue is so interesting, and it's our hope that we can take it to some other parts of the city, that it's really about the history of the community and identity of the community and how the community sees themselves. And it's really just an interesting way of creating public art, that it's like a street sign and not on a wall. Mm-hmm. So it sort of takes people like, oh, look at that. And so I'm hoping that people can see their lives reflected back to them in ways that people understand. I think one of the wonderful things, and I know I'm biased about public art, is I think it gives people the dignity and respect they truly deserve, and it lifts up our history, it talks about our memory, it deals with where we're from, and that's what Affirmation Avenue does. So I'm hoping that that's just their little anchor points along the way, that people walking will say, what does that sign say? What does this say? And learn more about the community as they're also looking at the big, bold, beautiful murals.
So the two artists that lead Affirmation Avenue, they are public school teachers, or part of the public school, and so they do a lot of their work based on research as well. So in Kensington, every neighborhood that they go to, they look at the lost Black history in that neighborhood, and in Kensington, a lot of that was Afro-Caribbean history as well. So they've done an amazing job of focusing on history that people might not know about the neighborhood either. And so I think it's great that people see those signs, gives them a little nudge to be like, oh, I didn't know that, maybe I can do some more research. But again, they're talking directly to people in the neighborhood who represent that Afro-Caribbean history as well.
Awesome, thank you. I'm excited about that. And then one question for EPA. You all referred to a study that was conducted by the University of Pennsylvania where you talk a lot about how street lighting can improve or reduce crime. Can you share with us how many light structures you've actually been able to change? Do you have that information by council district? And if there have been any challenges that you've experienced and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So the Philadelphia Streetlight Improvement Project touched every single streetlight citywide, including all of the alleyway lights as well. We had Future Track clearing debris and trash from 1,800 alleyways citywide. We replaced 125,305 fixtures, and we're just finishing the punch list now, so we've got a couple more to go, but almost done. The project was delivered on time and on budget. It employed hundreds of people. We had incredible diverse participation on that project. We had 47% MBEs, 22% WBEs. We surpassed our projected 58% participation rate. It was about a $92 million project. It pays for itself in just over 10 years with $8 million of savings annually to the city. And we do have the numbers by council district. In the 7th, we replaced 12,317 fixtures. I think that's all of them. And happy to share those numbers with the rest of council as well. And I'll just mention, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and in the 7th, have all of the fixtures been completely changed?
99.5% complete.
Okay.
We've celebrated, it's done, but there's just a little bit of punch list. There were a few fixtures or a few poles where PICO needed to come in and do some maintenance first before we could replace it, or something like that. We had a set of fixtures as well for Commerce Street and a couple of others where it was a different kind of fixture and the manufacturing plant took longer than we hoped, but it's almost entirely complete.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you, Council
Thank you
President.
very much. Councilmember Rulandow, Jim Harity, Nina Mai, Mark Squilla.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you both for being here, and thanks for bringing your teams. You guys are wonderful for all of the work that you do in Philadelphia. I want to tell you that I, too, am struck by this power duo here of agencies that seemingly do completely different things, yet there is so much overlap. You both provide incredible job training programs to people who need them to provide employment and stability for households. You transform neighborhoods, both collectively, large neighborhood transformation, but also individually in houses. You are absolutely our leaders in the return on investment, and you tell us every single year that the more money we allocate to you, the more that comes back in Philadelphia in so many different ways. You are both so positive and will just continue to work if we give you more, that all you keep thinking is that good things can happen in Philadelphia and that you will not hear no for an answer, and your creativity and your ingenuity is just so inspiring. We have spent weeks and a couple of years for some of us and many more years for the rest of us of hearing other parts of city departments and agencies not be able to answer questions as clearly, not be able to tell us what happened to the money last year, not be able to tell us why a project wasn't finished. And it is so wonderful to hear what you two bring to the table and your organizations and your teams, and so frustrating as well for the larger picture, which is not your problem, it is ours, but I gotta tell you, it is, the contrast is huge. So I hope that doesn't buy into my time, but I just wanted to say that. Jane, you are amazing. You have transformed our city. You have added color and light and beauty everywhere. We know you're not really going anywhere, but thank you, and thank you for bringing this team and building your team. You guys are an incredible force, and we just know we just got to give you more. So at the fear that I'm only going to have one chance, I'm going to go 2 questions for mural arts and 2 questions for PEA. But my first structural question for mural arts has to do with the fact that you said there's 195 murals that require restoration or conservation. What is the estimated cost to address this backlog, and what risk do we face financially and culturally if restoration is deferred?
Well, I'd say restorations can go from a couple $1,000s to much more major. I mean, the problem in Philly, it's just what it is. It's old architecture, so you don't know if there are leaks and if there's bad flashing, and sometimes stucco pulls off, and collections age, they just do. And you know, I got my start in Los Angeles, and at the time, LA was the center of the mural universe. And many years later, I had moved here, it was early mural arts, and I got a call from the LA Times, and they said, you know, murals in LA are going away. And I was like, what? That seems like confounding to me. And they said, well, the city program, they lost their funding. And so the graffiti abatement teams, the murals got graffiti, they just take them away, or the murals are fading and they take them away. And these were like brilliantly painted murals. And I just thought to myself, oh, we can never let that happen in Philadelphia. It's like, and fast forward, all these years we're known internationally as the city of murals. People come here from all over the place. I mean, people over the last month, I can't tell you how many people have stopped me and said, I moved to Philadelphia because of the murals. So we want to maintain them. But the money that we're asking for, the 1.9 million that we really need, is part of that is because of restoration, because it's such a little sliver that we have now. It really just doesn't go that far, and believe me, we stretch it really far. And but I just, you know, I feel like we've tried everything to raise private money for restoration, and mostly we've failed because people want to give money to new things or to programs. And people just take it for granted, like, oh, the collection is just always going to be great. But the answer is no, it won't. And we just need to make sure that we're always on a mission to maintain that collection, because it's not just about beauty, it speaks to our lives.
Thank you. Second mural arts question is, after 4 decades of your leadership at Mural Arts, what steps are being taken to ensure institutional stability, continuity of artist relationships, and long-term sustainability?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Well, I feel like, you know, we have an extraordinary staff, and for the last number of years, I've been thinking a lot about the next generation of leadership. And we have our COO, Lisa Murch, our Chief Advancement Officer, Aviva Kapist, and we're the executive team, and Aviva and Lisa will be carrying on. We have an incredible leadership team, the directors of our departments. You met Nadia, Damon is here, Michelle, I mean, Phil Asbury from Community Murals. It's just, here are people that absolutely love the work and are dedicated to our city, and I have no doubt that they will be extraordinary stewards of all that Mural Arts does. And I think, you know, all you can really do is to make sure that people are in place that so that you feel that the service delivery and all we do will be uninterrupted. And I feel very confident that that is the case.
Excellent, thank you. 2 quickies for PEA. I promise not to come back.
Real brief.
I promise. I'm going to give you one broad one, but I do need to ask something that goes back to my frustration. When you go into, the specific one is when you go into a house and have to assess it for built to last, how long does that process take? And I'm going to tell you, I'm asking because the libraries have gone through an incredibly long process that has made them assess very few libraries to decide what rehabilitation restoration does it need. And I don't understand why it's taken them so long. And the second question has more to do with energy efficiency. I really want to know How are we progressing in our efforts to source our electric needs from clean energy? What can the city be doing more to keep energy prices affordable for residents, for businesses? And I know that you've been working across departments to improve critical infrastructure while reducing energy costs. Maybe this is a library question. Can you give us an example of the types of projects that are underway at the moment? Are there any projects on the horizon that could benefit the city that PEA can help move forward? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I cannot speak to the library's timeline, but I can tell you that the libraries are hot on my list of projects that we'd like to develop. I think we could bundle lots and lots of libraries together and do one big project. We've done this with the school district where we bundle groups of buildings together instead of just doing one at a time. We scope them all together and then we execute. And the model that the Guaranteed Energy Savings Act allows at the state level is a much faster way to address these than the typical way that we do capital projects. And it provides the discount of really using energy efficiency as the sort of coupon for how much this costs, so it reduces the cost of all the capital work. We are doing an example like that right now with the Quadplex Plus Community Health Project. That's the 4 city office buildings, including Criminal Justice Center, plus health centers and homeless services buildings. The health centers and the homeless services buildings get very little capital investment almost ever in the city budget. I think their budget is $1 million a piece this year, and it's not enough to maintain the buildings in a condition that's appropriate for what the uses are. And so we were able to bundle those together with the public property buildings, and as a whole, that is a desirable project to big energy efficiency companies. So we're able to sort of do that capital work. The city's contributing $4 million of capital towards that. We'd like them to contribute a little bit more, but that's okay. And then the rest is being funded by the energy repairs. So, that's an example of how we do exactly what you're suggesting. On what we can do to lower energy costs. So, and I'll just say, your PECO bill just a couple of years ago was 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Today, it's 21.2 cents a kilowatt hour. PECO has also proposed a new rate case, so that would go up to 23.6 cents a kilowatt hour. People are struggling. The city also sees the same impacts of energy prices going way up. So a couple of things. One, we've helped the Office of Sustainability reduce the city usage of energy by 49% over these last, I guess it's a little over 10 years now. There's a lot more work to do there, but that almost meets one of our climate goals, which was 50% energy reduction by 2030. We've also sourced 36% of the city's electricity now comes from solar. Part of that is solar from those big projects that you've heard us talk about in Adams County and now a new one in Clearfield County, but it also comes from solar on people's rooftops right here in Philadelphia, where the city is able to buy those credits for those projects, help subsidize the project, but also meet the city's needs. So we look for those kind of win-win projects. The last thing I'll say is one major thing that this body can do to ensure that energy prices do not get any more out of control than they already are is to manage the data center growth that is projected to happen. I know this is an issue that is going to come up, and it's something that we're talking about in the Lower South, but we're happy to support City Council as you're looking at how to manage that and ensure people's bills are not going to skyrocket.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair lines is Councilmember Jim Harity, and then wrapping us up will be Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President, my girl Jane. How are you?
I'm okay.
You know I love you so
Hanging in there.
much. Little history lesson, though. You know, mural art started as anti-graffiti many years ago, which were one of our first programs to make a lot of kids not have to go through the justice system. It was one of our first programs in order to do that. And I was around back then because I'm one of the older people here in the room as a staffer and remember seeing you. And I don't know how you have kept the energy you have for this long. And you know I'm a big supporter, and I will continue to be a big supporter, not only of Mural Arts, but of you personally. So please, I'm here for you, you know that. But just have a few questions, quick ones, so that for the sake of time. The Restorative Justice Program does incredible work supporting returning citizens. How many participants does the program serve annually? What types of skills and job training does the program provide? And what is the job placement rate? And then last but not least, because this is special to me, is last year we fought and received money for Mural Arts specifically to expand the art therapy in prisons and our wellness ecosystem. Can you give us a report on the success of the program and how many participants benefited from the art therapy classes, and how can we expand that program?
Sure, thank you for those questions. I'm going to ask Damon McWhite. Oh, there you are.
I stepped up. Yeah, no problem.
I'm going to answer about the prisons, and then Damon will take it from there. So I just want to say I'm very proud, as the council president noted, we have been at the state prison since 2002. We were at Graterford, and then when Graterford was closed down, we moved to Phoenix. And many of the people in our class are from Philadelphia. And I'm really thrilled to say that some people have gotten out, they've come home, they've worked at Mural Arts, and they are leading sort of pretty, jobs, they're leading lives I don't think that they would have expected. I'm just so proud to see that somebody won a Pulitzer Prize, somebody's working for the Carnegie Institute, someone's at Haverford, I could go on and on. But that, and if you were to talk to them now, they would credit that Mural Arts class as being just a really formidable experience in their life. And then, just last year, we started working with the juveniles on County Road, and that's our art education program. And I just want to say, recently we had a dedication there, and it was extraordinarily inspiring. All the young people said that they couldn't do it in the beginning. They couldn't paint, they didn't want to paint, and then they did it. And then they couldn't, at the dedication, they couldn't speak, they wouldn't speak, and they got up there, and they were absolutely eloquent. And as I was leaving, these three young men, they came up to me and they said, "We don't want to stop, what's next?" And I thought, that's exactly what we want to see. And then through Porchlight, they're doing really great work at the Wellness Center. We see the impact firsthand, and we want to continue it. And that's why this $1.9 million that we're trying to infuse into our budget, part of this is for murals and restorations, but it's also to continue doing programs that really deliver on behalf of our city's often most vulnerable residents. And Damon, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. I need to say my name for the record again. Damon McWhite. In addition to the programs that Jane mentioned, so in the Restorative Justice Department, we truly focus on connecting participants to the areas we feel like we interact with the most. That would be, of course, working with the city, community engagement, working with other organizations like ourselves, and then the creative economy as well. So the programming that we're doing in both the Guild and the Rec Crew program is to introduce them to the various skills they'll need for that, right? So our daily programming consists of folks showing up between 10 to 2 o'clock each day. We're teaching them time management skills. We're teaching them how to interact with folks, conflict resolution, engaging with superiors, things along those lines, but also working in the community. So the mural projects that we get a chance to work on, the community members that we get a chance to engage with, we feel like we're preparing folks to be able to go out and work for the city and be a positive representation of the city of Philadelphia, as well as the creative economy work that we do, introducing them to opportunities to be showcased at the Barns, work with Creative Philadelphia and various other cultural organizations. We're showing them that there's a pathway for themselves as well, working with creative organizations. And the piece that I think is most reflective of the testimony today is working with community organizations. So the same way they contribute to neighborhoods through Mural Arts, there are tons of other organizations that need quality coordinators, they need quality folks out there doing community engagement and outreach, and we're allowing our participants to get skills in that as well.
And also I want to name, these are some of the employers, the Sanitation Department, Amazon, Pennsylvania Hospital, the Mann Center, Printerfly, Edward T. Steele School, the tech company, Department of Park and Rec, Family Dollar, Aramark, Little People Daycare, Call Representative in Construction and Landscaping. We're getting people involved in jobs in that area as well. And we have a very high rate of completion and a high rate of people moving on to jobs, and a low recidivism rate of, I think it's 4.8 recidivism rate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4.8, it's like nothing. It's like, and our biggest problem, to be honest with everyone, is nobody wants to leave.
Yes.
Because what we provide is rigor and love.
Yes, and I will add in addition to the employers, we've had a number of our participants be connected to CCP and the I Am More program that they have there. So not only just funneling people into job opportunities, but also thinking about long-term and their own educational pursuits as well. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Listen, I said it last year during the budget, and I'll say it again. Mural arts is the least expensive way that we can make our city look even more presentable for 250 and beyond. As you said, we're known worldwide now as a city of murals, and that's something to be proud of. We're proud of you, Jade. We're proud of all the work you and all of your people do every day, especially in Kensington where I live. I'm for raising your budget. I said it before, it's the cheapest. Nobody does. I wish we had more department heads that did as much with as little money as you did. You're the let's find a way person, and that's what we all love about you. So thank you, and you know, I'm very supportive. And to the gentleman, I hope if he's still here that's in the program, keep coming back. It works if you work it. There's a lot of us out here, brother. We got your back, all right? Take care.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon. I'll start with Jane and add my thanks to everybody else's for making Philadelphia a global destination and known worldwide for our murals. This is amazing for us in so many different ways, including making Philadelphia a destination not just to visit, but actually to live, because we need our population to go up to 2 million in order for us to have the revenue. We need to support such efforts that you've done. Mike, I have two questions, quick questions for you, Jane. One is, I heard a whole list of projects you have that are underway. I did not hear anything about a mural around human trafficking prevention and awareness, unless it's actually embedded in something you said already.
I'm really glad you asked, because it's connected to our request. Because we don't have the funding, we thought we would have the funding for it. We have an artist who's amazing and who has been impacted herself by this world.
Yeah.
And we have a design, and we're honing in on a wall. And what we don't have are the funds. And I think that just brings me back to, while we are called the Mural Arts Program, the sliver of funding, again, there's the sliver for community murals, for murals, and for restoration. It's just not enough. The demand far exceeds our ability to do the work. And how wonderful that we're in a city where there's a giant appetite for public art, and art that is about beauty, and art that is about critical issues, council member. And we should do that. We would love to talk to you about it. We're on a mission.
Okay. Second question is, we talked a lot about the impact of your work, and maybe you do this already. Do you have it tabulated in a way? For example, there was a doctor from CHOP who did a whole research paper on greening communities and the impact on reducing violence. In order for us not to have this budget battle, it would be really helpful to have data around the impact and with the outcome, so that we would actually have numbers. I think I've seen something like that from you, but I just wondered if it's in a way that we can have a short-term and a long-term impact of investment in doing this work.
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question, so I want to just say thank you first. And that and my colleague Val Gay knows this, because Val was there with us, that we heard researchers from Penn present data, like really fascinating data, on work they've been doing, unbeknownst to us, about the impact of murals on wellness and public safety. And this is a number of years. This isn't like just a few months. And what they saw over and over again was like a real, like they have data to really back up that murals, working in public space this way is transformational, and it is not just that a blank wall turns into something beautiful. It's how people feel, it's what they carry with them, and then from the Yale study, it's what they term collective efficacy, that communities feel absolutely ready for something else because something came that was beautiful, that was inspiring, that was representative of people's lives at work, that is resonant with them, and that means something. And so I would be happy to sit down with you and share this with you. My colleagues and I would love to talk to you about it, because I sat there and honestly, I was stunned because, you know, when someone says, well, we're going to present on research, you don't know. Like, I thought, well, this could go either way. And then they were so complimentary of the work. And I just find it to be fascinating that it had that impact, especially on public safety. I think that one was really a fascinating one. So I would talk about this forever. I won't take up some more time, but I just want to thank you for that very good question.
Thank you, and I'm going to switch to Emily here. Thank you again for your important and hard work. I had a question about, you know, energy needs are going up, and we need to have a diversified platform of ways to get our energy. Are you the repository of who would bring this to the forefront for the city of Philadelphia? You know, we talked about solar. I don't know if you're working on geothermal. I'm really interested in these small modular reactors for clean nuclear energy. I wonder where we are with that, because anticipating the needs that are going to happen, and talking about the rate going up. We can keep our rate down. We can also reduce our carbon footprint by diversifying our energy platform. So I wanted to know from you where we are on this in the city of Philadelphia.
What a great question. We are dipping our toes as a city. We've got some solar now. We've got a little bit of innovation down at the Navy Yard, where they've done some battery storage, some a little bit of community solar down there. We've done very little geothermal. There's a handful of projects across the city. The cost of geothermal has been the barrier, but I think where we've seen the ability to push costs down is when you do that labor market training, when you attract more businesses that can install it and sell it, you create a little bit of competition and drive down the cost that way. So more volume equals better prices. We're seeing PGW do a study that is hopefully almost done on a rec center plus a school together. There's lots and lots of other opportunity for PGW around geothermal. We're hoping that this project that we're working with them on at the water department can sort of help them start to conceive of other ways that they can really add some more diversification to Philadelphia's footprint. So PGW is a great avenue there. We're getting involved in the regulatory process with PECO to try to encourage them a little bit more as well on all sorts of things. They get almost all of their power from nuclear, from brown sources, we call them. And then we're also working with a whole host of people about the Bellwether District and the Navy Yard and ways that we can really leverage the unique assets that they have to really diversify energy. And I think you're completely right. We cannot rely, as we've seen with what's going on globally right now, that you cannot rely on a single fuel, and you certainly can't rely solely on fossil fuels to make it work. So great question, and we're happy to talk about that more.
Yeah, we'll talk more, because I heard we have these small module around us, outside, not in our county, outside. So we might as well take the lessons learned. And there needs to be a community engagement, because people have a fear about nuclear energy, and we really need to get community at the onset rather than later rolling it out, to actually work through what does it mean? What does a diversified platform mean? What are the costs of the geothermal that you mentioned? You know, there's an economy of scale for everything we do. So it's really important we get on top of it so that we're not, you know, talking about rates after the fact. We need to get ahead of it, and I think we need to be the lead, just like we are with our murals. So I thank you both for the work you do, because this is, you know, foundational work that we need to continue, and happy to advocate for both of you, and we'll talk offline. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. I just had I had another question regarding workforce for Emily. Just give us a brief update on how many young people PEA has actually put to work. And I know there's a overall significant number. Can you state that for the record? And then also, Jane, there was a question regarding how to quantify the work that you are doing short-term and long-term. Could you give us numbers on the impact you have done regarding helping individuals who are adjusted impacted, right? Because that's something you can kind of measure in terms of people coming home, people working in your program, the recidivism rate from that aspect as well.
Who should go first?
You go first.
Okay, so Damon, because I have numbers here, I just want to make sure they're up to date.
Do you want me to start with the
Participant numbers.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So for this year, we've engaged so far with 32 participating who are returning citizens. So in addition to returning citizens in our program, we also work with individuals who have been indirectly impacted. So they may have had parents or loved ones that have been previously or currently incarcerated. So this is just the number of those who have been returning citizens, but there's a number more who were indirectly impacted. And then for the participants that we place, we have 80% placement rate amongst those participants who are in the program. And as Jane mentioned earlier, the recidivism rate is around 4.8%. And mostly when we have that happen within the program, it's usually a parole violation, usually drugs or some type of altercation that requires that returning citizen to go back. So.
And I want to say for Phoenix, it's about 25, 30 people in our class, but I'm really happy to announce that we're opening it up to the other side. So actually there'll be more people in the program, Council President, who have shorter sentences who will come out and then they'll be able to work with us. So that pipeline will just stay robust.
And I said it's good to hear those numbers because when you talk about impact, right, it translates to the impact that your organization is having in regards to making sure we're addressing recidivism. People
Right.
going back to prison for lack of opportunity, people going back to prison for not being able to adjust. So I think it's critically important. Should recognize the Councilman Mark Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all for being here and having your testimony. And Jane, thank you and congratulations on all the great work you did. Mural arts will always be mural arts, will always be Jane Golden, and we really appreciate the stuff that you have done. But last year we spoke about the uptick in graffiti and what was going on throughout the city. And you had mentioned coming from anti-graffiti when you started with Tommy Conway years ago. You had mentioned how we worked with some of those individuals to get them to participate in some of our murals. And you had mentioned an individual that was one of the big graffiti writers last year, and you said you were trying to engage him to be a part of the program. Has anything have you been able to get that person to help out?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. Yes, actually, that was somebody who I called him on his cell phone, and he was rather surprised to be hearing from me. And he is somebody like a really, really talented. And Phil Asbury, who's going to speak in a minute, the Director of Community Murals, and we cooked up a plan and offered him an opportunity. And he went to Fifth and Cambria and he worked on this mural and he did a great job. And then he emailed me and he said that he wanted to come see us. And he said that his dream would be to do murals on daycare centers because daycare centers are like, really they're beacons in communities. And so, fast forward, Phil Asbury.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Phil Asbury, Director of Community Murals. We are poised and excited to continue this legacy of offering barrier-free educational opportunities for graffiti artists that are self-identified. I think this person...
Like Cornbread?
Like Cornbread.
He's a legend. I don't even know if people know he's a legend. I got the book. I have his book in my office, very legendary individual. So it's an honor to have you in our presence, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I mean, similar to Cornbread, for this artist, graffiti was a gateway, a way to get exposed to the various forms of art, to vocabulary to define the skills that they had learned through matriculating through graffiti. And I think he identified an opportunity in his neighborhood to adorn a daycare center, to learn community process, to allow us to work with him to be coached and mentored by a professional artist. The same artist who's actually working on the CSX mural has taken time to mentor him and take him to coffee shops and work on the iPad and teach him Procreate and how to design, as well as incorporate the interests of his community members to have him be seen using his art skills in a more socially acceptable way by his peers and neighbors. So that mural will be going up. It will be celebrating the power, the magic of motherhood. He's expecting a child next month. He also sadly, lost his mom early and wanted to celebrate and lift up this idea that we can all be nurturers and mothers of our own communities.
It's really beautiful. And may I add something? Just to say, the one thing that I learned in working at Anti-Graffiti was truly a gift. It was like getting 3 graduate degrees, but it was like the amount of talent in this city is phenomenal. It does not equal to the amount of opportunities that young people have. So it's our responsibility to try to find young people like that and create a pathway for them. So that's why we're so proud of our art education program, because we're on a mission to do just that.
Well,
I also want to say, we did make a mistake, and I would like to clarify the record. We see 70 participants a year, not 42, in our restorative justice program. That is the rec crew and the guild. So I just
And
want to
what's
make
the
sure for the
procedure
record.
for individuals who want to participate?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the procedure for participation?
What's the procedure? Well, what we
Is
recruit.
it court appointed? Is it probation officer?
Exactly.
Is it?
It's all of that, and it's the
Okay.
DA's office, it's coming out of county jail, it's coming out of the state sometimes, and that's how people come to us. And so sometimes it is court appointed, and sometimes people hear about us who are on probation, or they've been incarcerated and they're coming home. So it's a mix, but it's all justice impacted young people, and it's ranging in age between 18 and 26.
18 and 26?
Yes, and in addition to that, we also work in the Juvenile Justice Service Center, and like I said, we're working on State Road now.
And I want to address one last thing with Philadelphia Energy Authority, and there was a conversation regarding the back and forth regarding administration budget and your budget proposal. But just clarify for the record the difference between, what is it, built to last and basic systems repair, because some folks think because they overlap, why are you investing in built to last when you already have basic systems repair and they both go toward the rehabilitation of homes? And I think you probably can clear up if there's any misconceptions regarding overlap and basically supporting both initiatives.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking that question. These programs are designed to overlap. So basic systems repair often comes into a home that has multiple major systems issues. It's a homelessness prevention program. And so it's meant to just do kind of the minimum thing that is required to keep people in that home. So if you have to have a football-sized hole in your roof to get a roof replacement, that's still extremely helpful. Basic systems repair does incredible work across the city. And when they leave the home, you might have had 10 years of rain in your house now because of that hole in the roof. You likely have mold. You likely have ceiling collapses. You likely have all sorts of other issues that have destabilized your foundation that basic systems repair is not able to address. And so we designed the program specifically to be able to pick up where they leave off and to collaborate with them on homes where there are multiple systems and they don't have enough budget to cover those. So we actually found an interesting statistic recently. When basic systems repair treats a home by themselves without collaboration, they're spending on average about $11,000 per home. When they partner with Built to Last, they're spending $18,000 on average per home. So we make them more efficient, more effective, and able to better spend their dollars. And we complete the preservation of that home. So we go above and beyond what is happening. We'll do that mold remediation. We'll fix the ceilings. We'll fix the health conditions and the structural conditions in there. We see all kinds of issues from simple to complex. And we add the energy efficiency, and in most cases where we're doing heat pumps instead of old oil systems, we're adding solar to that as well for long-term affordability. So these are programs that work extremely well together and should both have the funding that's needed to do those components of the work.
And when you say solar, right, and I know at one point in time, similar to how AI is right now, when we talked about solar, especially under Obama, it was like, yo, when we have solar jobs, we're gonna cut down on using oil and gas because we're gonna have solar. Now, when I'm out, I was just in the Poconos, and I saw like a whole, anyone ever been to Kalahari Resort? Well, anyway, behind Kalahari Resort in the Poconos is like nothing but 10, 15 rows of solar, right? What does that look like in the city of Philadelphia? And I remember Darrell Clark created your agency. What does that look like? And I also visited OIC, who has a partnership with PECO, helping young people put up solar panels. But I don't know when I go down the streets of Point Breeze, just being frank with you, how many of my neighbors have solar panels on the top of their roofs? So how does that work and your success in that area?
I love this question the most. So, okay, 4,400 homes in Philadelphia have put solar on their roofs through our Solarize program.
Okay.
Of those, way more than half, I think it's 70%, are low and moderate income households. We've been subsidizing low income households to go solar for the last 8 years. And what we're finding is that people are using solar for long-term affordability. Instead of paying PECO, you're just paying yourself. You're investing in your own home. In some cases, we're able to give $0 solar leases to people who are part of Built to Last. As utility rates go up, and they're going to keep going up, we need to make sure that people can stay in their homes. And one of the biggest reasons people abandon their homes in Philadelphia is utility shutoffs. So this is a key component of affordability, especially for lower income and middle income homes. So we are seeing a big shift. We actually did a study a few years ago with the folks waiting in the Social Security line in North Philly and said, are you interested in solar? Is this something you've heard of and know about? At first they said, no, we're not interested. We don't know what that is, we don't care. But the thing that changed was when we did training, and we saw then people's neighbors and nephews and cousins being the people who install the solar on people's homes. And that changed everything. We went back to that same line and asked again a couple years later, and the sentiment was completely changed.
And I know we have to wrap up, but I have just one last brief question. If you could just summarize real quick, because it's at 4 o'clock, it's at the hour. The number of workshops you're doing in terms of weatherization of individual homes during the wintertime, right? Just to make sure you're not losing a whole bunch of energy and your bills going up. You're paying a higher gas bill. At the same time, you weatherize your home. On average, you save about how much?
So we don't run the weatherization program. Now that's back to PHDC.
Okay, I knew that. Okay.
And they're serving a couple, hopefully this year, they'll serve about 1,000 homes, maybe a little bit more. And the idea of weatherization is that it's a slice. So it maxes out at about $7,500, $7,600, I think, and is meant to be a piece. So that is one of the components of Built to Last. We include them in everything. And I'll just give a quick example. In Kensington, we recently did 60 homes with private funding from Fannie Mae and from the Green Family Foundation. And in those homes, that $600,000 that we got there leveraged another $450,000 in those same homes of other programs, including weatherization. So we leverage every other program that exists.
Good, good. And thank you for the job with the lights in the neighborhood. I've been hearing people talking about them very much. Well, listen, thank the two of you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Chair recognizes Councilmember Mark Squilla. Sorry, Mark.
Thank you. I know you had some questions. I just wanted to finish my one question. And thank you to asking the one about basis and repairs. And that's important to understand because we get that all the time too. How do those programs relate to each other? And that was going to be my question that you asked. So my last question was, you talked about community murals and what that means. But there was always people asking for murals. And how many projects are asked? How many are you able to do? And how long does it take really to get funding in place to, by the time somebody asks for a mural, till it gets completed?
We do about 80 to 120 murals a year, and that really depends on the funding. But we work pretty quickly. Once we have the funding, we can get up and going. A mural can take a month, and it could take 6 months to a year if you have to find a site, and you can have some complexity around the design process. But we're pretty speedy once the funding is in place. And again, If we were able to secure this 1.9 million, there's 4 buckets that are part of that. One is community murals, one is restorations, restorative justice, and Tacony Lab. And that community murals, I think that's so important because it's really like one thing that we've prided ourselves on for years, and I think all of you here know this, is that we're highly responsive. Like that you can call and we can go out and we will do it. And we will work with the community with integrity. We will have a great process of selecting the artists, and the murals sit there as beacons for years to come. And it's just like I said before, the demand absolutely exceeds our ability to do it. And when people ask me this, and they ask me this all the time, what prevents you from doing more work? It is funding.
Well, that's why we need to support more funding. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so some of the members who weren't here all day, just for the record, this is Jane's last budget, Member Jones. This is Jane's last budget, Majority Richardson. And we're going to give you some more flowers. We thank the both of you for your testimony today. Any other questions from members of the committee? Hearing none, the chair recognizes Majority Leader Catherine Gilmer Richardson for a motion that the public hearing and meeting of the bills and resolutions before the committee today stand in recess until Monday, April the 20th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in room 400.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the public hearing and meeting on the bills and resolutions before the committee today stand in recess until Monday, April the 20th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in room 400. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries, and the committee will stand in recess until Monday, April the 20th of 2026 at 10 a.m. Thank you all very much.